Rob, first of all, what do you think Pedro Sanchez is trying to achieve with this decision?
He expresses it. He says that this is a moment when we have to press for social harmony. We have to put the emphasis on coexistence. Somebody has to take the first step, if there's going to be an agreement of this sort. And as the head of the government, it's for him to take that decision and for him to do it. I think, he has seen the direction that Spain has gone in over the last 4 years since the referendum in 2017 and the subsequent trial in 2019 that led to these 9 people being put in prison on charges of sedition with very long sentences, up to 13 years in one case. And he has seen that it hasn't really achieved the sort of stability for Spain that perhaps the establishment in Madrid would have liked. That on the contrary, if you look at what's happening in Catalonia today, the nationalist part of the population is even more entrenched than before. In recent elections, for instance, for the first time, political parties advocating independence for Catalonia achieved over 50% of the vote. So the issue is not going away. And I think this is an attempt on the part of Pedro Sanchez to say, OK, look, let's see whether we can find another way forward, perhaps hoping to find amongst the nationalist politicians some who are prepared to at least go part of the way down the road with him, to talk about, if we're going to hold a referendum, that it shouldn't be done unilaterally. It should be agreed, as in Scotland, for instance, with the Westminster government. So in Spain, perhaps an agreement can be reached between nationalist politicians and Madrid. Others, more critical, are saying this is a sellout, it's a betrayal. The opposition describes it just in those terms. But even nationalists, it has to be saying, are saying this is just grandstanding. Puigdemont, for instance, the president of Catalonia, before he was pushed out of power by Madrid and fled to Brussels, is saying precisely that. And even in his own socialist party, there are many critics.
Well, as you say, yeah, plenty of opposition, Rob. So how politically risky do you think this is for Sanchez?
Well, there's no doubt at all that it is politically risky. He forms part of a minority government. And some would say that the reason he's gone down this path is because he's got to at least satisfy some of the demands of the ERC, the Catalan Republican Left Party, which props up his government. It's a minority party, but it's an important one in that coalition government. If perhaps this is just a way of saying to them, look, we've gone part of the way down the road with you. We want something back in return now. But there's no doubt that the risks are there. 61% of the population of Spain, according to a recent poll, said they were against these pardons. There were big demonstrations in Madrid just a few days ago. And as I was saying earlier on, even within his own party, there are many who are opposed to it. But Sanchez's point of view seems to be that this is perhaps the only way to go forward, that unless something is done to try and bridge the gap between Catalan nationalist politicians and the mainstream establishment politicians in Madrid today, tomorrow the problems will be even bigger. That furthermore, Spain could find itself increasingly in conflict with the rest of the European Union about the way forward. For instance, at the moment, there's considerable concern that the European Court of Human Rights, which was due to hear appeals in 3 of the cases of those who were convicted in 2019, could turn against the verdict, which will be extremely embarrassing for the Spanish government. That's what he allegedly, at least, is trying to avoid, but there's no doubt that this is a minefield for him.
Rob Parsons.